Welcome everybody to Smell It Sunday. This is a live stream. Of course, I go live. Usually I do this on my secondary channel, aromatically speaking. Today we're going on the main channel, the Candle Enthusiast. I want to welcome all of you folks who may be new to the channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below because we have plenty of Halloween content coming up the path this season, and holiday content just in general. But the reason why I'm on the main channel today is because I'm going to be doing a live unboxing of a candle collection by a candle company that's been getting a lot of buzz this year. A lot of folks have purchased these candles, have burned these candles. A lot of people have spoken about these candles on YouTube. But I just received these candles in the mail by Village Candle. The fine folks at Village Candle sent me the 2019, a couple years off there, 2019 Halloween collection. And instead of doing an edited video, I've been loving doing these live unboxings because this way, you see my pure reaction in real time. You see how I break down these candles, and it puts a little bit of extra pressure on me to get the fragrance notes correct, but to also emotionally tell you folks how this candle how it makes me feel, where it brings me, the setting, but also the story that these candles have to tell. So welcome everybody to the Candle Enthusiast. I am your host, Shane Carlson. I really don't want to waste any time. I want to jump right into this, especially for you folks who are new to the channel. We will be doing an after show. After this live stream. A lot of you folks have been asking, when am I going to announce the winner of the vintage Yankee Candle Trick or Treat candle? I announced it last week that I was doing a giveaway for the 3rd anniversary for the Candle Enthusiast. Well, I'm going to announce the winner on the after show on my second channel, Aromatically Speaking. So if you're watching this later, the link will be in the description below. But for those of you folks joining me today, let's open up this box by Village Candle, and then we'll announce the winner of that very, very special, almost by my calculations, well, not by my, yes, 18-year-old vintage, highly collectible Yankee Candle Trick or Treat. So let us do this. First thing we got to do is pull you guys up. I've said it already. We're going live. So I will be able to see your comments here and there, but I need to really devote my attention to evaluating these candles. So speak amongst yourselves. If you really have an important question, put it in caps so it catches my attention. And then on the after show, I will devote a lot of attention to answering any questions that you may have. Where are you guys? Pulling you up. There we are. Lots of folks in the house. I want to welcome everybody. Thank you for joining me today. I want to see everybody. I see you all. Very good. Let us begin. Are you guys ready? I'm ready. All right. So we have a box by Village Candle. Now, if you're not familiar with Village Candle is going to be a company based out of Maine. I'm trying to think of the name of the town. Well, I don't know if it's actually if the shipping is in Wells, Maine, but a Maine-based company. A lot of the times you can find Village Candles in boutiques, grocery stores even, but I have to say, just recently I evaluated all 5 of Village Candle's brand new fantasy collection, and I am not kidding when I say that Village Candle has really upped their game, especially with that collection. It blew me away. So although those candles, fantasy collection, not necessarily Halloween, they do work for Halloween. Trust me, especially if you're not into the super gothic concepts. And I will show you that collection and some of my favorites from that fantasy collection a little later on. So here we go. We have this box. We need a knife. Let us open her up. Try not to cut anything that is inside. Now, I'm not going to be reading the fragrance notes before I smell these candles. If you want to take a quick look, all of the fragrance notes by Village Candle and the descriptions that they have written are in the description below of this video. But I will read through the fragrance notes after I give these a sniff. I don't like to read the fragrance notes before I smell them, because sometimes you don't always agree. You have to trust your nose, and sometimes the fragrance notes are not exactly what you smell. So right here we have a little advertisement. This is a pretty big pamphlet for Village Candles. I should put this box down. Christmas collection. I'll show you one of the candles for the Christmas collection. It looks like there's some returning, well, a lot of returning candles. This is a classic Village Candle. Last year, Village Candle sent me Winter Clementine. I still have it unburned. I will be talking about that. One that I was very interested in is a Sugar Plum Fairy, but arguably it's too early for Halloween, some people might say. So let's not talk about Christmas just yet, but this is pretty nice. This is like better than a catalog. This is like thick stock paper. All right, here we go. There's 3 candles in this collection. A lot of people have been talking about these, and like I said, I'm not surprised, because with that fantasy collection, really knocked my socks off. I really did. And I'm hoping that the experience will at least be halfway similar to with these Halloween candles as it was for the fantasy collection. Oh yeah. We're dealing with these new aluminum lids. I don't know if these are permanent. I like it because it makes the apothecary jar look much different than say like a Yankee candle or a country candle, something of that nature. It gives it its own look. I'm going to put this down so I don't drop it. And let's start with this guy right here. Let's see if we can get a good focus on that. Come on now. Come on. Where's the focus? Come on. Come on. Maybe if we add a little bit of light. We have Ghost Cemetery. And it's exactly what we see. We see these ancient, gothic, very old cemetery. And, it's overgrown. Oh, and there's the ghost. I couldn't even see it for a second. That's kind of funny. It takes a few seconds to notice it. There is this specter, this kind of white, ghostly, robed ghost, translucent, walking through the cemetery with that stormy blue sky. Look at the size of these labels, folks. Are we kidding me? Now, some people, here's an example for the fantasy collection. Some people were talking about, why did they put the name of the candle right in the center of the picture. Perhaps they listened, because they didn't do that again with this Halloween collection. They put the name on the bottom so it's not obstructing the image of the candle. I think that's a good idea. So, Ghostly Cemetery, let's give this one a sniff, shall we? Tell me, you guys tell me if you've purchased these, burned these, smelled these. It is pretty. I had the AC in here. This is something I usually do, even during my edited videos. I'm not going to melt the wax. I'm not going to light the candle. I'm just going to add a little bit of heat to that jar. This will exude some of the oils, warm up the wax. I'm actually going to keep the lid on while I do that. Just give me a little extra punch of aroma. All right, let's start breaking it down. Okay, so there is... I still have to decide on how I want to classify it, but there is a minty quality to this candle. There is a refreshing mintiness. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is like a mint chocolate chip, or even better, the first thing I thought of wasn't mint chocolate chip. One of my favorite ice creams is like a mint chocolate cookie. And then I'm thinking of the cookie, right? The cookie is like an Oreo, and then bam, you know, again, already making a couple connections. Think about, there's got to be an ice cream out there with Oreos. Well, yeah, like a McFlurry from, I remember back in the day, McDonald's, maybe they still make them, but where they crush up full Oreos in the soft serve ice cream, only there is a mintiness. They make mint Oreos, don't they? Because there is an extreme soft, really delicious sweetness, like walking down the grocery store, looking at all of your favorite cookies and treats from childhood, things that you're like, I can't buy that, but I wish I could just buy those Keebler cookies, or I wish I could buy those package of, in this case, Oreos. And then when I'm thinking about that, the mintiness and there is a white chocolate note, and I can't help it. You know, my mind is going, I'm forgetting it now. What was I just thinking of? White chocolate, mint chocolate chip, grasshopper cookies, or Thin Mints, Girl Scout cookies, the Thin Mints, but imagine Thin Mints with white chocolate. And the mintiness is so sweet and not like fresh picked like mint herbs at all. So sweet that I'm telling you, double your pleasure, double your fun. Double mint gum. There is undeniably that double mint gum, Wrigley's gum, really sweet sugar mintiness to this. That double mint must mean there's two mints. What are the two mints in double mint gum? Does anybody know? Because it's kind of like spearmint. It's kind of like I guess just a regular, not fresh mint, but a candy mint. Yeah, so as far as the concepts going, Ghost Cemetery on Halloween night, if you're trick-or-treating and your friends dare you to walk through the cemetery, and you're running through the cemetery and you drop your bag of tricks or treats, and all of your candy goes scattering all over the place, right? This to me is more of a sweet treat, really delicious. Like, kids would love this thing because it is that snack aisle in the grocery store in the form of a candle. Cookies, Oreos, chocolate, white chocolate, dark chocolate, mint chocolate chip. We've said all these things. However, there is a little bit of a fresh wood, and this is, I can't tell you, there's every candle that deals with the cemetery seems to have some form of timber, teak wood, usually it's some kind of sandalwood, accord. Sometimes it's something like cedar, but there's a big difference because cedar brings you into the direction of firewood, and that's not what this is doing. This is more of like a fresh timber, not Home Depot, but let's say like kind of like a musk. I'm not going to use the word musky right now. I'm going to use a woody cologne note that just, again, it serves as this pretty neutral foundation to this candle because the sweetness is so intense. I'm just trying to think of what else they would put into this candle. There's no grassiness. Pine tree, no. I mean, maybe a little bit. But I think it's really more of the herbal, minty, even if you want to say mentholated. That's a good point. Mentholated, a cooling sensation. I haven't said that in a while. I usually say it all the time. A cooling sensation, meaning if you smell something that's minty or mentholated, it gives you that cooling sensation in your sinuses. So the effect when you burn the candle is the idea of that cooling sensation that you're out on a cold night. Ghost cemetery? Yeah, I mean, okay. It's not a dirty, funky, grassy, mossy kind of candle. This is a candle that, as long as people like sweet treat candles, and I guess if you like mint, this one is gonna be a hit. And it smells pretty intense on cold sniff. I did hit it with some heat. You saw that. But really delicious. This could work if you don't finish this for Halloween. Bring this right into the Christmas season. It'll work. Just try before I end. I want to see if I'm missing anything, because I am going to read the fragrance notes. Let's just talk real quick, just in case if you've never burned a village candle. These apothecary jars do come in paraffin wax, 2 wicks. Unlike, let's say, like a Yankee candle apothecary or house warmer jar. And they're usually, they range sometimes. They've been 21.25 ounces or 602 grams. But I've seen them up to, I don't know, they used to be a little bit higher than 22 ounces. It doesn't matter. But the new aluminum lids, I like this. They're flat, which means, as long as it's on a safe shelf, you can stack these, which you couldn't do with Yankee candles. Let's read the fragrance notes of Ghost Cemetery. Let's see if I can pull this up for you guys. Here we go. And all right, so that's not the right candle. Ghost Cemetery. So there's a close look at that label. Oh, that's cool. I should just be doing this. There's that ghost. That's a really nice label. It's it looks kind of like they took this photograph during the day and made it look like it was evening, because there's a lot of light on that grass. But either way, it's a beautiful photo. And that's not Photoshop. That's a real, looks like a real cemetery somewhere. So, the fragrance notes, or at least the description. Let's read that first. Spend a chilly and haunting evening in the midst of a foggy gray cemetery where ghouls, ghosts, and spirits of the night linger and watch from above. This mysterious scent both frightens and brings comfort to the air. So there's a few things that tell us. It tells us there. It says chilly. Okay, so that's where the mintiness comes in. Fogginess, spirits lingering, scent above. Okay, so that doesn't really tell us much other than a poetic description. So here we go. Wow. Frankincense. That is not something I was picking up. I was looking for citrus, and there's always a citrus note to frankincense. I'm not saying it's not in there. Just on cold sniff, I was not getting it. Frankincense is a fresh pine smell. Frankincense is a resin, but it has a very pine-forward aroma. Also has bright citrus notes. But there's sandalwood. That's what I thought I was smelling. That fresh wood, not the cedar, but the fresh wood, the clove. I'm going to smell this real quick. I don't know. I'm not saying it's not in there, but I'd like to say that I have a decent nose, and I don't think, even if I spent an hour with that candle, I would have come up with clove. But then again, like I said, I'm smelling these cold guys, and all of our noses are different. And forest green. So, in my opinion, what I think Village Candle does, instead of doing top notes, mid notes, bottom notes, they usually sum down their fragrance notes to 3 or 4 descriptions, and they don't necessarily use literal or like, say, forest green. Like, what is forest green? Forest green could be 15 different ingredients, right? Of course, that's where the mintiness is coming from. Maybe I should have said pine tree or rosemary or something. So they condense the fragrance notes to 3 or 4 words. But I can't believe it doesn't say anything about chocolate. It doesn't say anything about sugar or vanilla. That really does shock me, because it is. I'm telling you, it is like. I'm telling you, it's like I said, it smells like your favorite. It smells like a Girl Scout cookies, Thin Mints. We talked about them all. Mint Oreos, even ice cream and vanilla. Not judging, but keep that in mind. This is not an outdoorsy candle, in my opinion. This is a sweet treat candle. So it's funny. It says it comes in a 26-ounce jar, even though my jar says, it even says it right there, 21.25, but it says 26 ounces here. And then it also comes in the medium-sized jar, or that looks like a small. It's a petite glass jar, 3.25. Maybe the mediums are sold out. Very cool. Let's keep this going. Let's move on to the next candle. What do you guys think? Has anyone burned that candle and had the same experience that I just smelled, or am I just way off? Lou's mentioning Graveyard Fog from Colonial Candle. That was a really, really fun candle. It's back this year, but I evaluated it last year. If you want to check out my review, including the whole Colonial Candle collection for Halloween, I did them last year. I'm not going to be able to read the comments, but this is a good time to kind of talk amongst yourselves. But let me ask this question. Have any of you guys, I know a lot of folks who go around to ancient cemeteries, take photographs, and travel the country or travel the world to see these really beautiful cemeteries. I've taken you guys to the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery many times. And there's a great Instagram profile on Instagram called oh god, I'm trying to plug them and I'm forgetting. I think maybe it's called Haunted Hudson Valley. I don't think that's it, but they go around and they take photographs, beautiful photographs of all of the wonderful, beautiful ancient cemeteries in the Hudson Valley. Let's get back to this. All right, we have pumpkin scarecrow. Let's get a little light. Oh man, this focus is really drives me nuts. I'll pull up a picture later, but on the website. But we can see that classic scarecrow. He has a blackbird or a raven on his arm. He's certainly in a pumpkin patch. And again, that really vivid blue sky in the back. Pretty label. And it's funny, I've been saying that I've been wanting to make a scarecrow candle, hypothetically, kind of, for a couple of years now, because there's never been one that I've known, and in the past year, I've seen like 3 scarecrow candles. So what would you imagine a scarecrow candle would smell like? You know, does it smell like the setting? Does it smell like the scarecrow? Does it smell like both? Does it take some liberties? Does it smell like the pumpkin? Does it smell like a pumpkin pie? To you, what would a pumpkin or a scarecrow candle smell like? This is exciting. Okay, I'm gonna have to work fast here. That is really delicious. These two are delicious in completely different ways already. These are yummy candles. No questions about it. But with that said, okay, let's break it down systematically. Let me talk about the savory notes first. I love this. Okay, I got tons of stuff. Cornbread. I mean, we're not talking about the dried out stuff that you get in a fast food joint or in the grocery store. We're talking about homemade, super buttery, salty, sweet, fresh out of the oven cornbread, maybe inoculated with tons of honey and kosher or sea salt, and tons of butter. So we can think of cornbread. I'm kind of also thinking of, is there a name for them? Like the corn cake, corn meal flapjacks. I'm not sure if there's a name for those specifically. Does anybody know? Oh man, this is a warm, delicious cake experience. There is golden raisins, There are nutty notes in, let's just say right now we're dealing with like a cornbread base with some nuts, some honey, yeah. I don't know where this is coming from, but I'm telling you, if you have this candle right now, pick it up off the shelf. Get it right now. Go get it and smell it. And tell me you do not smell banana bread on this candle. This smells more like banana bread than it does like a pumpkin bread or like a pumpkin cake or a pumpkin muffin. It's not to say it doesn't have pumpkin spices. And speaking of pumpkin, if we're going to keep going with savoriness, there's not a fresh pumpkin note, not like a pumpkin puree, not like you're carving a jack-o'-lantern. But I can see, because of the honey, because of, a little bit of the spices, maybe my mind is filling in the gaps a little bit, but I can see that roasted pumpkin, the butternut squash, a little bit of molasses on that butternut squash, some honey, whatever you put on there. But the banana bread is really, really coming through to me, like a really slightly pumpkin spiced banana bread. But with that said, okay, ooh. Just in that last second, I was getting a little bit of a cinnamon. So there's spices in there, but really, this is not like a pumpkin spice experience, which is, I'm not putting down pumpkin spice, but I'm enjoying that. We just don't need that many pumpkin spice candles. There's some spices, but it's mild. It's mild. Okay, don't lose this, Shane. Don't lose this. Okay, so the cornbread is an interesting concept, right? Because where do we find scarecrows? Even though this is a pumpkin patch, we find scarecrows in cornfields, right? So the cornbread, and there's a little bit of a dried vegetation. The corn husk, the hay, the hay bale, the dried grass. Whatever you want to call it, there's a little bit of this outdoor dried vegetation, even like dried leaves, if you want to go there. I've said this before, it doesn't literally smell like a pile of dried leaves, but when you smell candles that are called autumn foliage or autumn something or other leaves, maple leaves, whatever it may be, it doesn't always smell exactly like a real pile of leaves, but it's a poetic, pretty expression of what a pile of leaves may smell like. Sometimes it smells a little bit prettier in a less earthy way than it does in real life. So there is a little bit of that hayride, hay bale, corn husk, and what really brings that to life is the addition of that cornbread. So even though it's a pumpkin patch here, I really wish there was corn stalks on this label. But super buttery, super savory. This is a kind of candle where if you burn this in the morning, and if you have roommates, or if you're doing this, your family's still sleeping and you burn this candle, they're going to wake up thinking that you're making something delicious inside the kitchen, and they're going to come out and you're like, oh man, they're just burning pumpkin scarecrow. Very authentic. I don't know which one. I usually don't say a favorite. I'm going back to this, and okay, where this is borderline, like this could work in a fun way for Halloween. It does work in a fun way for Halloween. But this could just as easily be a Christmas candle, the Ghost Cemetery. But this is something we can burn now in September. We can burn all throughout the month of October. This is, obviously a Halloween candle. It works for Halloween, but we could burn this all throughout November, which I call Autumn Phase 3. This could be a Thanksgiving candle. And of course, we could even take this into December as well. But this is much more, to me, an autumn expression compared to the Ghost Cemetery. But with that said, both delicious candles. Now, let's see what the fragrance notes are on this candle, if I can find it for you guys. Pumpkin Scarecrow. Let's pull this up. Bam, bam. Okay, so let's take a look at that photo because we couldn't get a good focus on it. Look at that. These are really nice photographs. I really can't state enough how impressed I am with Village Candle. I just the labels really. There was one that I evaluated a while ago. It was called Simply Rain. Man, it was a beautiful label. And so far, these two labels have been gorgeous as well. I kind of like that this looks like it's, this doesn't look like a real scarecrow out in a pumpkin patch, right? This kind of looks like you're in an attraction at Disneyland or some haunted attraction. It looks like a set. It looks theatrical. I like that. That's a nice touch. I don't know if that's done on purpose. Let's read the description here. Pumpkin Scarecrow. An aged scarecrow stands overlooking his field of pumpkins with glowing jack-o'-lantern eyes. The rolling hills of amber and smoky woods haunt the foggy evening. A ragged wool shirt hangs from his shoulders while crows touch down for a brief visit. A classic pumpkin fragrance with a ghostly touch creates the perfect hallowed night. I said this about the fantasy collection. Whoever is writing these descriptions they're just knocking it out of the park. Really fun descriptions. They're almost like short, almost like very short stories. I love it. Although this is a situation where, okay, so spiced pumpkin. This is important. Spiced pumpkin, or if you switch these two words, pumpkin spice, very much two different things. You really think about that if you haven't already. Spiced pumpkin means obviously a pumpkin that has been spiced, and pumpkin spice has nothing to do with a pumpkin. It's just the spice that you use in pumpkin spice products, like the spices that you put in pumpkin pie, pumpkin bread, and things of that nature. So this says spiced pumpkin, and I like that because I was getting that butternut squash roasted gourd, and I was getting a little bit of those spices. Not a lot, though. Not a lot. In a very, very subtle way. Amber. That's, I'll be honest, that's probably another one of those I would not have come up with. Not even close. Maybe vanilla, but amber, and then worn wool, like a clean flannel shirt. I would expect something like that. Now that it's being said, I get it. But the hot baked treats, that coffee shop filled with fresh bakery autumn pumpkin spice treats, and the nuttiness, even like kind of like a creamy latte flavored pumpkin spice thing. All of these things come to mind first. And the fact that these are two decadently delicious candles, and it's just not mentioned in the fragrance notes. I just wonder if that's done on purpose, because there's no question that pumpkin scarecrow candle falls into the savory, bakery, delicious, buttery, salty, pumpkin muffin. I mean, you name it, type of candle. But just by reading these three words or three descriptions, spice pumpkin, amber, and worn wool, again, I'm thinking of a completely different experience. So this is a perfect example of why I do this. I do not read fragrance notes. There was a time, folks, and it wasn't all that long ago, where fragrance notes were not included in most candle companies. They weren't on the websites, they weren't printed on the jars. They were, in many cases, like with Yankee Candle, very close kept secrets. And in many ways, I wish it was still like that. Because somebody reading Spice Pumpkin, Amber, and Worn Wool, that might not turn them on to this candle. And yet, if I said, the experience of walking into your favorite local coffee shop in the deep core of the autumn season, aromas of pumpkin spiced lattes and sweet treats and fresh roasted honey nuts, aromas floating there. Like, if I say all that stuff, that's a completely different experience. And to me, I feel like it's more accurate. So, although I love the description of the candle here, very well written, just take it from me. This is very important. Trust your nose. Please don't take fragrance notes and fragrance descriptions or candle descriptions too seriously. While working in the wine industry or studying to become a sommelier, the first thing my mentor told, one of the first things that she shared, one of my mentors, was simply, she just repeated it over and over and over again: trust your nose. Trust your nose. Just because somebody smells something different, or maybe if you're smelling a candle and you're smelling it or you're interpreting it in a different way, doesn't mean you're wrong. We all have different noses. We all have different experiences. And ultimately, when it comes to candles, it's really what you believe, right? And what you smell. It's not about how the company wants to describe it. But with all of that said, please don't get me wrong. Both of those are right up my alley. I love those kinds of candles. And then lastly, we have Haunted Mansion. Oh yeah. I mean, how could we not automatically think of of course, Disneyland, Disney World on there. That kind of, it's definitely not the Bates Hotel or the Bates house from Psycho, but it has that look, that feel, that it even kind of looks like perhaps even like it's like a Victorian home, but that's got like Addams Family written all over it. We have more of a monochromatic label here with kind of a tinge of green in that sky. Vampire bats everywhere this year on candles. Haunted Mansion. Really interesting. It looks like there's power lines. I'll show you that in a second. when I pull up the photo. Haunted Mansion. Okay, so we had from Kringle Candle, Haunted House this year. There was, I did a candle. I talked about a candle. Thanks, a big shout out to Doug from Hauling Wax and Spooky Villages. He sent me a bunch of candles from a company called Dark Candles. And there was a haunted house candle there. And, you know, there are a lot of different takes on what a haunted house or a haunted mansion candle should smell like. And I'll be honest, I'm looking for... Oh, you know what's a really good one? Spireside Candle has one called... Spireside Candles kind of... They're they're Disney inspired candles, let's put it that way. And they have one called, I can't remember what it's called, but it's based on the Haunted Mansion, and it smells awesome. So I'm gonna plug them real quick, Spireside. But that was a really great take on a haunted house candle. But let's see what this one is all about. Is this gonna smell like a rotting house, or is it gonna smell oh man, I bet you a lot of people like this one. I bet you a lot. I don't, before I evaluate candles, I try not to get people's feedback or listen to what they're saying. I know a lot of people have been talking about these candles, but this is really nice. This is not spooky like decaying, rotting, a house that's falling to pieces, wood that's saturated with rain and moss and ivy. No. This is a haunted mansion. Even though this house on the label is decrepit and looking like it's falling apart, this is a pretty candle. I mean, this smells like a haunted mansion, but one that's been taken care of. One that doesn't smell musty or dirty or dusty or funky. This smells like we walked into a... Oh man, you know what's coming to mind is imagine like Vincent Price, the Fall House of Usher, right? Like the one of the Hammer horror films, inspired by Edgar Allan Poe short story, or any one of those films, right? Vincent Price, right? Imagine Vincent Price, because he would always in some of those movies, wear like these plush clothing, and he'd always be this wealthy castle owner or homeowner, house in Haunted Hill. Imagine an old, beautiful, gothic castle or home or mansion. Think of the film The Haunting. And what I mean by that, there is like a beautifully treated wood, not an old wood, not a tattered wood, not Home Depot, but this smells like aged and stained and treated and urethaned. Stairways, banisters, wooden decorative materials all throughout the house. What are those things called? The decorative kind of wooden hand sculpted things. This smells like beautiful like velvet furniture. Now I'm being a little bit vague here, but my point is that this is a pretty smell, and I won't lie, it does, for me, this smells like I'm walking into a very old mansion or a home or a castle. Now, what does it really smell like? There is a fruitiness here that doesn't smell like jam. It doesn't smell like fruit juice. You know, to me, this is bramble. This is plum, ripe plum, blueberry, even darker fruits, boysenberry, cassis, perhaps. So darker blue and black fruits. But what this does is, it doesn't really necessarily make it smell fruity. There is a really gentle floral quality to this. And it makes those florals smell fruity. And in turn, perfumey. It smells like a Victorian. I mean, not that I've ever smelled anything like this, but this is like I said, this is what you would imagine, like you know, a bedroom in a castle, Jonathan Harker's bedroom, and Dracula. I almost said Mary Shelley's Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula. What his room would have smelled like, all the furniture. It's a very dried out, subtle, sweet floral smell, and those berry notes kind of just enhance the sweetness of those florals. So don't get me wrong, when I say fruitiness, I'm not saying this smells like breakfast or brunch or jam. It's just adding to the sweet, perfumey floral notes. There is a smokiness and an herbalness. You know, I think I knew this already, that it was in this candle, but you gotta take this into consideration. There's no question some form of patchouli in here. This is not necessarily one of those pungent patchoulis, but either way, it's not an aggressive patchouli. Let me put a little bit of heat on this. It's not an aggressive patchouli. What it does is it just adds some woodiness, some herbal notes, and again, it creates this setting, this environment. What else is going on here? Is it wood? Yeah. Okay, so not necessarily cedar, but there's something here that's reminding me of a fireplace. So we remember the scene with the fireplace in The Haunting, not the Catherine Zeta-Jones one, the original Haunting. Big, like almost walk-in fireplace. So not necessarily firewood, not smoky, not even ashy, but that smell of, you know, the fireplace has been burning throughout the past few days, and there's this lingering smell of sweet smoke in the air. Sweet smoke. Tobacco? Cherry tobacco, perhaps? I like that. You see how you stumble in these things? Yeah, man. Yeah, if anyone's a cigar aficionado, please don't take this too seriously. But you know, like flavored tobaccos, cigars, or even like pipe tobacco, flavored pipe tobacco. Beautiful aroma. Don't smoke, kids, but beautiful aroma. And now that I'm saying that, hookah. What is this stuff called? Nargila? I gotta remember this stuff. But the molasses fruit coated tobacco that you smoke out of the hookah pipe. It's a water pipe. I remember, you know, in college, my friend brought one home for me from Israel, and it was just this beautiful thing. And then the whole ceremony of kind of setting up this pipe and putting on this delicious pipe tobacco. Again, kids, don't smoke. but maybe there's a little bit of charcoal in there. I'm liking it. So maybe not so much the fireplace, but maybe there's a fireplace or that smoky, vague smoky charcoal, the charcoal puck that you light when you smoke that hookah. So forget about hookah if you don't want to think about tobacco, but just think about fruity, floral, bright, clean, pretty Victorian, a little bit earthy and herbal from the patchouli, and that sweet charcoal, cherry, tobacco smoke. This is great, man. This is great, a great concept in my personal humble opinion for a haunted mansion. Again, on the label there we have that decrepit house. To me, it should be more of like a really well-kept Dracula's castle. Again, in my mind. It could be completely different for you. But please know that at least I don't think so. This doesn't smell like a dirty, rotten old home or like that abandoned house in everybody's town. There's always that house in everyone's town that's just abandoned and sitting there, and something scary happened in that house. This actually smells very pretty. Let's take a look at the fragrance notes here. And let's hope I'm not completely far off. Okay. I'm pretty happy with what I see so far. But let's switch you guys so you can see what I see. Bam. Alright, so let's quick take a look at that label. So something I wanted to point out. Do you guys see those lines here? Are those power lines? Yeah, they look like they're power lines, but they've been photoshopped out. It looks like there was power lines when they took the photo, but when they put this photo together, they photoshopped the power lines out from... Anyway, I don't know, I noticed those things. Oh, wait a minute, is there somebody in that window? Is that a silhouette in that window? If it is, it's vague enough where it's actually kind of creepy because you can't really tell for sure. Awesome. All right, let's read the fragrance notes here. Let's start with the description. Haunted mansion. A haunted house nestled high on the hill is dark and empty as clouds of smoke and fog mysteriously mingle. Tempted by the sweetness of dark berries and warm notes of patchouli fill the air, inviting you in for an evening of fright. Whew, okay, I am happy with that one. I think I can address all of these things. So the notes, dark berries. To me, I said plum, which is blue fruit. I said blueberries, which is blue fruit. But mention cassis. So if you want to classify as dark berries, very cool. Cassis is dark berries. Earthy accord. Earthy accord. Okay, so again, this word accord means a blend of several different things, ingredients, to create an earthy smell. So an accord is a blend of several things to create an earthy smell. So you can have a wood accord, you can have a citrus accord, so on and so forth. So earthy, I said earthy, but more in the patchouli side. I think patchouli is enough to say. The earthy accord might be a little bit redundant, in my opinion, unless this earthy is in reference to the florals that I was smelling. But here, the cashmere musk. So cashmere musk, there is no smell to cashmere. Cashmere does have a smell, but when you talk about musk, we're talking about clean clothing. And clean clothing smells like what? It smells like florals. So musky florals. Definitely get it. So if the earthy is referring to, although what did I say? I said the charcoal. Okay, maybe this is what we can classify that charcoal or that fireplace as. Oh, you know what? Okay. And didn't it say something about smoke here? As clouds of smoke and fog mysteriously mingle. Okay. So this is, I think, the first one of the three that where I feel like it's very, very adequately described. Although I would not put dark berries first. Just because, again, when you say fruitiness, you just don't want people to think of like. I don't want you to think that it smells jammy, like you just cracked open a jar of jam. But like I said, the berries complemented the clean, floral, sweet muskiness, which they're calling cashmere musk. There was definitely that patchouli, that herbal, smoky, earthy aroma. Earthy, maybe not earthy, but and then this earthy accord is, if they're talking about that charcoal or that fireplace, I definitely agree. But either way, who am I to complain or disagree? What do I know, right? So very, very cool. So that is the 2019 Halloween collection by Village Candle. I want to give a huge shout out to the folks at Village Candle for always being so kind and generous to me. I've been working with them now for 2 years, and unfortunately I wasn't able to make it up to Maine last year to do a factory tour, but we are working on it for this year. So as long as we stay on budget and we have enough time, they've extended the invitation for me to go up and see the factory and conduct an interview and smell a whole bunch of candles. And I really do think, based on what I've seen this year from Village Candle, this may be a new age, a new dawning of Village Candle. And with that said, let me just quickly talk about this fantasy collection. You can check out my video. It's I did the same kind of unboxing, but there's one candle in particular. If you just need another Halloween candle, although this does not look like a Halloween candle, it sounds by the name like a Halloween candle, Forbidden Forest. But this was by and large, I think, the most impressive of the 5 fantasy collection candles, and it's very Halloween. Oh my God. This is in the depths of an overgrown forest, both dead trees and very fertile trees. It's earthy, it's filled with cedar, it's got a little bit of smoke, there's some juniper berry, a little bit of fruitiness in here. If you are a fan of Witch's Cauldron by Kringle Candle, this is obviously not the same exact thing, but this, I'm telling you, if you love Witch's Cauldron by Kringle Candle, this candle is a must. I'm telling you, get it before it's gone. It's my highest recommendation of any any Village Candle I've ever smelled before. Again, this is not a candle that's going to be for everybody. So if you don't know what Witch's Cauldron smells like, it's a very powerful, very aggressive, very bold candle, and so is this one. But truthfully, it is the most impressive village candle I have ever smelled in my life, and I cannot wait to burn this. I was going to show you all of the fantasy collection, but just what I'll do is I'll put the link of my unboxing video in the description below. Make sure you check out that video because they were really good. And the one last one I do want to show you, because I am going to be working with Kringle. I keep calling them Kringle. That's not going to make them happy. I'm going to be working with Village. Again, not only visiting them, hopefully, but also going to be talking about their new Christmas collection. I'm going to be talking about their new fragrances, but I'm also going to be talking about some of the classics of Village, their classic scents, because I really have not produced many Village candle content. So again, large size label for Christmas right here. This is called Royal Nutcracker. Massive label, and I love that they put the name on the bottom there, that it's not right in the center of the photo. What does it smell like? Well, you guys are gonna have to wait. But that really smells amazing. That is super complex. So we'll wait. It's like I said, it may be even a little too early for Halloween, so it's definitely too early for Christmas. But I want to thank all of you folks for joining me today. But just remember, we're going to be announcing the winner of the 3rd anniversary giveaway on my secondary channel. If you're not familiar with this, this is the main channel, The Candle Enthusiast. But I have a second channel that's all live streams. It's called Aromatically Speaking. If we have anyone, a moderator in the house, if you can link it up, the link to that channel. But you can also find the link right in the description below. So as soon as I end this live stream, give me about 10, at most 15 minutes. I'm gonna start up the after show on the second channel, and we're gonna talk. We're gonna announce the winner of this candle, no matter where you are in the world. And if you haven't participated yet, I'll find a way for you guys to still participate. So even if you haven't, like I said, done the things I told you to do to put your name into the bin of potential winners, I'll give you an opportunity to win. And it's not limited to the United States. I'll ship it to just about anywhere in the world as long as I can. But one more time, a huge shout out to Village Candle. If you haven't purchased these candles, if you've been thinking like, I'm kind of on the edge, I'm just going to give you my own humble opinion based on what I smelled. I really enjoyed all 3, and there's 3 of them. There's not 25 of them, and 2 are decadent and delicious, and one's a little bit more elegantly gothic. So definitely have 3 good options. So check out Village Candle. This is a non-sponsored video. It's important for me to say that, but a big shout out to Village Candle, and a big shout out for you guys for joining me on this unboxing. I will see you guys in just a few moments on my second channel, Aromatically Speaking, for the after show, for the giveaway, and some other fun stuff that we'll be talking about. But for everyone joining in on just this video, thank you for watching, and I will be talking to you soon. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so, because like I said, we have tons of fun holiday content coming up. After I've been on this long hiatus, we have a lot of seriously interesting things, and I'll be announcing some of what we'll be doing on the after show as well. And I do want to give a shout out to Anne for $4 super chat. Thank you so much. I almost forgot to say that. And that's it, folks. Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and I will see you folks soon. Happy hauntings.